The Golden State Warriors did not make a single phone call, sign a single player, or move a single piece in the deal that sent Peyton Watson from the Denver Nuggets to the Cleveland Cavaliers on Wednesday. And yet, when all was said and done, Golden State may have walked away from that 5-team trade as one of the biggest beneficiaries of a transaction they had absolutely nothing to do with. Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes, but the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do. And honestly, the best way to back this content up, because every single like pushes this further. So hit it now. That is the nature of the NBA offseason. Moves made by rival franchises can reshape the league's power structure in ways that extend far beyond the teams directly involved. And this particular deal, a sign-and-trade orchestrated between Cleveland, Denver, and the Los Angeles Clippers, has quietly shifted the balance in the Western Conference while also raising enormous questions about the Nuggets' long-term direction under 3-time MVP Nikola Jokic. Here's what happened. According to ESPN's Shams Charania, the Cavaliers agreed to acquire Watson on a 4-year, $88 million contract. Max Struss heads to the Clippers as part of the arrangement, while the Nuggets receive Cleveland's unprotected 2031 first-round pick and a 2032 second-round pick tied to the Sacramento Kings. On the surface, it looks like a standard sign-and-trade, but dig a little deeper, and the implications for Golden State become significant. Watson, just 23 years old, broke out in a major way during the 2025-26 season. He averaged 14.6 points and 4.9 rebounds per game while shooting 41.1% from three-point range in 54 appearances. That is a kind of production that typically commands a serious retention effort from the team that developed him. Instead, the Nuggets, who were reportedly willing to offer Watson up to 4 years and $70 million, according to the Athletic Sam Amick, decided not to match the extra $18 million over 4 years that Cleveland was prepared to hand over. That is a telling decision, and not one that reads as a sign of organizational confidence. Denver's front office is now pivoting toward veteran free agent DeMar DeRozan, per NBA insider Chris Haynes, as their primary response to losing Watson. DeRozan is a proven scorer and a 6-time All-Star, but he is also 37 years old and no longer the explosive athlete he once was. Trading away one of the most promising young wings in the conference to chase a veteran in that stage of his career is a move that carries real risk, and one that the Warriors should be watching closely. Because the team that stands to benefit most from Denver's uncertainty is Golden State. The Warriors project to carry substantial cap space heading into the summer of 2027, and that timeline aligns directly with a pivotal moment in Jokic's contractual future. The Serbian superstar holds a player option that could allow him to enter free agency next offseason, and if the Nuggets continue to make decisions that call their competitive commitment into question, the door for a franchise-altering move could open wider than most people currently expect. Golden State forward Draymond Green has already hinted publicly that the Warriors have designs on pursuing Jokic if the opportunity presents itself. Green's comments were not empty talk. The organization is clearly thinking several chess moves ahead, and the Watson trade has only added fuel to that fire. Losing a 23-year-old emerging talent for a pick that will not convey for 5 years, while Jokic is entering what many believe is the final stretch of his prime, is exactly the kind of front office misstep that can fracture a franchise's foundation from the inside out. There is also a more immediate benefit for Golden State. The Warriors are scheduled to face the Nuggets 3 times during the 2026-27 regular season, and Denver just surrendered one of its most reliable perimeter defenders and scorers without bringing back any player capable of helping them in the short term. That is a meaningful advantage in a Western Conference where every head-to-head matchup carries playoff seeding implications. For the Cavaliers, the risk of this deal should also not be understated. Cleveland is betting big on Watson based on less than 1 full season of genuine breakout production. His sample size is encouraging but not vast, and paying $88 million for a player with that level of track record is a gamble. The boldness from their front office is notable, especially after they missed out on LeBron James during the most recent free agency period, just as the Warriors did. But boldness and wisdom do not always travel together in this league. For Golden State, however, all roads lead back to one question. Can they position themselves to make a legitimate run at Nikola Jokic in the summer of 2027? The cap space is being managed with that goal in mind. The roster construction is being shaped around that possibility. And now, thanks to a trade the Warriors had no part in, the Nuggets look a little less stable than they did 48 hours ago. Sometimes, the best move you can make is the one your rival makes for you. Everyone is talking about Axel Lendeborg, and for good reason. The rookie forward made it impossible to ignore him the moment he stepped onto a summer league court, winning MVP honors and helping lead the Golden State Warriors to a summer league championship just weeks after being selected 11th overall in the 2026 NBA draft. The buzz around Lendeborg is real, it is deserved, and it has fundamentally changed the conversation around the Warriors' front court heading into the 2026-27 season. But in all the excitement surrounding the 19-year-old phenom, another Golden State forward has been pushed quietly into the background. His name is Gue Santos. And if head coach Steve Kerr is paying attention, Santos may deserve a spot in the starting lineup conversation that no one is currently giving him. More than that, his presence, combined with Lendeborg's arrival, may be exactly what pushes Draymond Green out the door sooner than the four-time champion ever anticipated. Let's start with the numbers, because the numbers tell a story that has been largely overlooked. From January 28th through the end of last season, a stretch of 31 games, Santos was one of the most efficient and impactful players on Golden State's roster. He averaged 15.4 points, 5.4 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and 1.4 steals per game, while shooting 51.5% from the field and 35.6% from beyond the arc. Those are not garbage time numbers. Those are starting caliber numbers that the Warriors desperately needed during a stretch when both Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler were unavailable due to injury. Santos' offensive game during that run was a revelation. His footwork in the post, his ability to finish through contact at the rim, and his court vision as a playmaking forward all flashed the kind of two-way versatility that Golden State has been searching for along the wing for years. He did not just keep the team afloat. He was the best player on the floor on multiple occasions, carrying an offense that had no business functioning at the level it did given its personnel limitations at the time. And yet, when analysts and reporters build out projected starting lineups for the Warriors heading into next season, Santos almost never appears. The conventional wisdom places Lendeborg alongside Draymond Green in the front court, while Butler remains sidelined, with Curry and Brandon Podziemski or DeAnthony Melton handling the backcourt. Santos, despite everything he showed at the end of last season, is being treated as a reserve. That is a mistake, and it is one the Warriors should reconsider seriously. Because the option of a Santos, Lendeborg, and Kristaps Porzingis front court does not just make sense on paper. It could be the most offensively dynamic and versatile front line the Warriors have deployed in years. All three players can stretch the floor to varying degrees. All three are capable of generating their own offense off the dribble, and all three have the athleticism to compete defensively at a high level. Green, who recently signed a one-year deal worth $27.7 million to remain in Golden State, finds himself in a genuinely uncomfortable position. He is 36 years old. He has already waived his implied no-trade clause, which signals that both he and the organization are operating with a degree of flexibility regarding his future at the franchise. His defensive value remains real, but the Warriors ranked 19th in offensive efficiency last season, and adding more shooting and playmaking at the forward positions is the most obvious path toward meaningful improvement in that area. If this season truly represents a transitional period for Golden State, a gap year of sorts, as many have characterized it, following an off-season in which the Warriors missed out on LeBron James and other high-profile targets, then prioritizing the development of Santos and Lendeborg over short-term results makes considerable sense. A lineup that places both young forwards in prominent roles would accelerate their growth, provide genuine long-term data for front office to evaluate, and position the team better for whatever comes next. And if Santos and Lendeborg both demonstrate that they are capable of holding down starting roles, a scenario that is entirely plausible given what each has already shown, the calculus around Green changes dramatically. A mid-season trade would become not just possible, but logical. Green on an expiring contract, with trade clause flexibility already in place, would carry real market value for teams in need of a veteran defensive anchor. Getting quality assets for him while simultaneously clearing the path for a younger, more dynamic front line will be a move that serves the Warriors on multiple levels. The Warriors are in a new era. Nothing would announce that transition more clearly than two young forwards stepping up and making the decision for the front office. The Golden State Warriors enter the 2026-27 season with more questions than answers in their starting lineup. And the most important question of all has nothing to do with draft picks, trade targets, or salary cap maneuvering. It has to do with a knee. Specifically, Jimmy Butler's knee, and how quickly the 37-year-old forward can return to full health after the injury that ended his 2025-26 season prematurely and altered the course of Golden State's entire year. The news from a Warriors camp is cautiously optimistic. Butler is reportedly ahead of schedule in his rehabilitation, a development as front office executives, coaching staff, and fans all recalibrating their expectations for how the season might unfold. The working assumption had been that Golden State would need to navigate at least the first half of the year without him, relying on Stephen Curry, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford, and their newly drafted rookie Yaxel Lendeborg to hold things together until Butler could return around mid-season. But if Butler's timeline has accelerated, and early reports suggest it has, the Warriors suddenly face a much more interesting and complex set of decisions than they originally anticipated. Chief among them, what does the starting lineup look like when Butler is healthy enough to reclaim his spot on the court? Because the answer to that question has major implications not just for the team's short-term competitiveness, but for the long-term direction of the franchise. Before Butler returns, the Warriors' projected starting five looks something like this. Curry at the point, Brandon Podziemski or D'Anthony Melton at shooting guard, Lendeborg at the 3, Draymond Green at the 4, and Porzingis at center. That configuration has enough talent to keep Golden State in the play-in tournament picture and gives Lendeborg the opportunity to grow into a legitimate rotation piece at his own pace. The spacing from Porzingis and Curry should give Green enough room to operate defensively without his offensive limitations becoming a crippling liability. But the moment Butler walks back through that locker room door, everything shifts. The Warriors will have a genuine surplus of forward talent and not enough minutes to go around. Someone will have to adjust, and that someone increasingly appears to be Green. The issue between Butler and Green is not a new one. It surfaced almost immediately after Butler arrived in San Francisco. Green has never been a consistent perimeter shooting threat, and his effectiveness on offense is tied directly to having floor spacers around him. Butler, who posted a career three-point percentage of 32.8% through his first season with Golden State, does not provide the kind of spacing Green needs to maximize his defensive value while minimizing his scoring limitations on the other end. The two players can coexist. They did for stretches last season, but they do not bring out the best in each other the way other pairings on this roster might. That brings the conversation back to Lendeborg and to what may be the most intriguing experiment the Warriors have at their disposal this coming season. At Michigan last season, Lendeborg shot 37.2% from three-point range on solid volume, a genuinely encouraging number for a player at a stage of development. His ability to attack closeouts downhill, combined with his physical tools and his instincts as a multi-positional defender, suggests that he could serve as a far more complementary partner for Butler in the starting lineup than Green currently is. A Butler-Lendeborg frontcourt pairing would give the Warriors something they have rarely had in recent years: genuine interior physicality combined with perimeter versatility at the forward positions. Together, they would present a rebounding and driving threat that most opposing defenses would struggle to contain on a consistent basis. It would be a demanding assignment for a rookie still learning how to play in the NBA, but Lendeborg's summer league performance made clear that he handles pressure without flinching. The most likely scenario is that Butler returns to the bench initially as he works back into game shape, then gradually earns his way back into the starting lineup as the season progresses. At that point, the Warriors' coaching staff will face a genuine fork in the road. Do they reintegrate Butler alongside Green, accepting the familiar offensive trade-offs that combination produces? Or do they use Butler's return as a catalyst to move Green to a reserve role and push Lendeborg into a full-time starting position? Neither path is without risk. Green as a reserve is still a viable defensive weapon and a valuable voice on the court. But Lendeborg as a starter alongside Butler could be the pairing that unlocks Golden State's offensive potential in a way this roster has not yet achieved. The Warriors are in a rebuilding year by some definitions, but they have never been an organization comfortable with standing still. If Lendeborg proves himself over the early months of the season, and everything suggests he will, that experiment will be impossible to delay.